Welcome, gentlefolk. It is lovely to see so many friends and neighbors here today at Nelles Manor. For those of you whom I'm unfamiliar, I am Mrs. Maria Jane Nelles, and along with my husband, Colonel Robert Nelles, and all our children, let me be the first to welcome you today to our home. Now, normally, I would invite you all inside my very fine parlor, but it is quite warm and close inside at midsummer, and at least out here we have the chance of a breeze. So, we shall just have to make do. We shall have the leafy green escarpment as our papered parlor walls, and we shall have the endless blue sky above as our fine plaster ceiling this afternoon. I should like to tell you that I fancied getting together some amusements for the fine folk of the 40. But the Colonel, he said, there ought to be a theme, my dear. And then he went on and he said, something to bring it all together, you know. Well, after careful consideration, I have lit upon just the thing. We shall have a little recital here today, not unlike those in the drawing rooms across England, though I was only small when I left, so I truly have only been there in my imagination, thanks to the writings of our dear Miss Jane Austen. May she rest in peace. Though she was anonymous in life, I dare say that her name will live on for centuries to come, and her writings will be enjoyed the world over. Oh, my dear friend, Mrs. Bingle. Oh, say how do, Mrs. Bingle.
Oh, how do?
My dear friend, Mrs. Bingle will be reading passages from Miss Austen's works throughout the entertainment today, as she is quite the devotee. Just a second.
Here comes the dragon lady. Better mind my manners.
Some may say that we live in the backwoods of an out-of-the-way colony, uneducated and uncivilized. But not you. You all look very civilized, I think. What do we know of culture and refinement? Well, let me offer you a little music, a little poetry and recitation from local Canadian talent, and you shall be the judge.
Are you not going to introduce me, dear?
No, of course. Aunt, everyone, this is my great aunt, Mrs. Alice Winterwood, lately of London, England. She has come to stay with us upon her dear husband's passing. Aunt, please, have a seat, and we can begin.
Shouldn't you be playing something, or shall I assume that those instruments are just for show? What? None of that! None of that! We are not launching a frigate!
Blimey! You guys scared me to death. Why ain't you coming against the British Navy? Me mum was in the Navy.
Well, I never!
Perhaps play something pretty.
Oh, we can do that, can't we, mates? We've got a wee madrigal, Daphne.
lovely, quite lovely actually. Although my expectations for the afternoon are not high.
And this is your real opinion? This is your final result? Very well. I shall now know how to act. Do not imagine, Miss Bennet, that your ambition will ever be gratified. I came to try you. I hoped to find you reasonable. But depend upon it, I will carry my point. In this manner, Lady Catherine talked on, till they were at the door of the carriage, when, turning hastily round, she added, I take no leave of you, Miss Bennet. I send no compliments to your mother. You deserve no such attention. I am most seriously displeased. Pride and Prejudice.
I would now like to welcome Captain Dobbs, who will be singing a piece for us entitled Where'er You Walk. Captain Dobbs?
Fast asleep he is. It's his wife who steers the ship.
I don't think I microphone. Before I start, this number was composed by a very famous person. Can't hear me? Uh-oh. Is it on? Is it on? Is that better? Oh. Anyway, the composer's name is George Friedrich Handel, and apparently he was a favorite of Jane Austen. So it's called Where'er You Walk. I'll have to get my starting note here. Where'er you walk, cool gales shall fan the glade, and trees where you sit shall crowd into a shade. Now, let me get to the next part. Where'er you tread, the blushing flowers shall rise, and all things flourish, and all things flourish, where'er you turn your eyes, where'er you turn your eyes, where'er you turn your eyes. Where'er you walk, cool gales shall fan the glade, and trees where you sit shall crowd into a shade. Trees where you sit shall crowd into a shade.
And now, Mrs. Dobbs would like to recite a poem for you entitled Song. Mrs. Dobbs?
I would like to dedicate this poem to the war widows and orphans that I've met over these last difficult years. I pledge to continue to do my utmost to help them in these trying times. The poem I'm reading is called Song, and it's by the Scottish poetess Joanna Baillie. What voice is this, thou evening gale, that mingles with the rising wail? And as it passes, sadly seems the faint return of youthful dreams. Though now its strain is wild and drear, blithe was it once as a skylark's cheer, sweet as the nightbird's sweetest song, dear as the lisp of a baby's tongue. It was the voice at whose sweet flow my heart did beat, and cheek did glow, and lips did smile, and eyes did weep, and motioned love the measure keep. Oft be thy sound, soft gale of evening, thus to my wistful fancy given, and as I hear the swelling strain, the dead shall seem to live again. Thank you. If you have anything to spare, there is a donation box on the refreshment table for the Colonial War Orphan Fund. It was not so very long ago that we sent our men into battle, our sons, that the enemy marched here on this very ground and caused such devastation. Those brave ones that did not return will live in our hearts forever. Thank you, and God bless you.
I would like to welcome my second eldest stepdaughter, Miss Elizabeth Nelles, who will be singing for us today a song entitled Flow Gently, Sweet Afton. Elizabeth?
At loose ends, dear girl, since her sister married and moved to Montreal, and her mother passed.
I am afraid, replied Eleanor, that the pleasantness of an employment does not always evince its propriety. On the contrary, nothing can be a stronger proof of it, Eleanor, for if there had been any real impropriety in what I did, I should have been sensible of it at the time, for we always know when we are acting wrong. And with such a conviction, I could have had no pleasure. But, my dear Marianne, as it has already exposed you to some very impertinent remarks, do you not now begin to doubt the discretion of your conduct? Sense and sensibility.
I'm terribly sorry. It seems as she's been caught up somewhere, or perhaps she's just lost track of time. I'm sure she'll be a moment.
Perhaps I should step in. I've always loved a bit of poetry. My lady.
Our devoted family servant, Molly, would like to present an Irish poem for you today, while we await my daughter. Molly?
The Irish Peasant Girl by Charles Joseph Kickham. She lived beside the Anner at the foot of Slievenamon, a gentle peasant girl with mild eyes like the dawn. Her lips were dewy rosebuds, her teeth of pearls rare, and a snowdrift 'neath a beechen bough, her neck and nut-brown hair. How lovely 'twas to meet her on Sunday when the bell was filling with its mellow tones lone wood and grassy dell. And when at eve young maidens strayed the river's banks along, the widow's brown-haired daughter was loveliest of the throng. Oh, brave, brave Irish girls, we may well call you brave, for the least of all your perils is the stormy ocean wave. When you leave your quiet valleys and cross the Atlantic's foam to hoard your hard-won earnings for the helpless ones at home. Write word to my own dear mother, say we'll meet with God above, and tell my little brothers I send them all my love. May the angels ever guard them is their dying sister's prayer. And folded in that letter was a braid of nut-brown hair. Ah, cold night callous, this weary heart has grown for thy hapless fate, dear Ireland, and for sorrows of mine own. Yet a tear mine eye will moisten when by Anner's side I stray, for the lily of the mountain foot has withered far away.
terribly sorry. Beth. Terribly sorry. Why don't we just have our short intermission now? And there are refreshments, over there on the table for you to enjoy. I won't be a moment. I'll be back very soon. Enjoy, please. Beth. Elizabeth.
Reasonable? I want to get out of here, Maria Jane. This house. These memories. I'm going to Montreal.
You're 16. Your father would never.
And Margaret will take care of me. I'll even attend school.
I can't let you. You can't let me.
You can't stop me. You're not my real mother.
Poor family. I don't envy either of them. Nor do I, sister. That the Colonel would marry so soon after Eliza's passing.
And all of those children, sister.
Oh, just so. Maria Jane is a dear, but 20 years his junior. Practically the same age as his eldest children.
Yes, sister.
It's no wonder that Margaret ran off with that soldier, eloped to Montreal. I hear the Colonel never corresponds. No, she was the apple of his eye. Oh, such a beauty, just like her mother.
Yes, sister.
A man like him in his situation with a heart pierced, wounded, almost broken. Fanny Harville was a very superior creature, and his attachment to her was indeed attachment. A man does not recover from such devotion of the heart to such a woman. He ought not, and he does not. Persuasion.
Devastated. The whole lot of them. 'Tis a pity. Oh, something lively, if you please. None of your boring concertos.
Righto,
Play a jig.
righto. We've got a Scottish jig. Me mum was in the Scottish Dragoons.
Thank you for your patience. And now Mrs. George Midford would like to read a letter for us today. Mrs. Midford?
Thank you, my dear. I'm afraid I'm not much for poetry, but I have a letter here that I've only just received that I thought might interest you. It's from my dearest boy. July, Montreal. I trust you have heard through various sources of our safe arrival at this place of our living at Jenkins' house. My dear Phoebe, glow of health and spirits continue. Last evening, she took a walk. She came home and amused herself with planting geraniums. Oh, I was unwell, which awoke me several times during the night, when I found her either asleep or in good spirits. A little after 5, she awoke me saying, from certain symptoms, though unattended with any pain, she suspected her accoutrement was approaching. Archibald, with his usual kindness, started out to fetch Dr. Hallahan and Miss Trotter. About 5:30, she began to complain of very acute pain at intervals. I sent for Miss Brooks, her old school mistress, who has shown, then Mrs. Blackwood, a lady who has shown her much attention. I brought the doctor to my home, and on opening the door, I heard my darling child, my firstborn, squalling with the strength of lungs that prognosticates his filling a church, just like his father. Oh, I covered my ears, but Mrs. Blackwood shushed our laughter at the too late doctor and congratulated myself on being the father of the most enormous baby boy ever beheld. Phoebe, who was in good spirits, fancies the child amazingly like her papa. The visage of himself, as I am no flatterer, I will not say. The child is pretty, uncommonly fine and healthy. He has papa's and grandfather's enormous shoulders, I fear. He also inherits our ears, But this I know, that I am happy. Behold my beloved wife in bed, smiling with delight on the little darling and throwing her affectionate arms around my neck. I feel as if my too full heart would burst. Pray communicate these joyful tidings to all sympathizing friends. Your most faithfully, etc., William.
And now Miss Anne Midford would like to recite a poem for us entitled, I So Liked Spring. Miss Anne?
I so liked last spring because you were here, and the thrushes too, because it was these you liked to hear. So I liked you. This year is different. I'll not think of you. But I'll like spring because it's simply spring, and the thrushes too.
There has been a change to your programs this afternoon. My stepdaughter, Marianne Nelles, has bravely offered to perform a piece for you. Marianne?
It is amazing to me, said Bingley, how young ladies can have patience to be so very accomplished as they all are. All young ladies accomplished? My dear Charles, whatever do you mean? Yes, all of them, I think. They all paint tables, cover screens, and net purses. I scarcely know anyone who cannot do all this, and I am sure I never heard a young lady spoken of for the first time without being informed that she was very accomplished. Pride and Prejudice.
pride myself on admitting my folly when I have been unjust. And this was all quite amusing. Quite. Oh, not any London salon, but in this place, with these people, perhaps you might just have something. Would that I were young Marianne's age again, that I could stay and watch this young colony grow and shape itself. I wish it luck.
Oh, you've prepared something.
I have, my dear. I am multitudes. There was an old man who supposed that the street door was partially closed, but some very large rats ate his coats and his hats, while the silly old gentleman dozed.
Thank you. We are all astonishment. I think we shall have to end it upon that note today. I would like to extend my thank you to our musical ensemble, as well as all of our performers today, for making this afternoon such a success. And of course, all of you for joining us today. Maybe next year we can have a dance too. one last song? Good.
I'm just a little Jackie Horner since I met my sugar cane. The gang of mine has been revealing that they're feeling sore. I'm just a little Jackie Horner since I met my sugar cane. I'm doing things I never did before. When I take my sugar to tea, all the guys are jealous of me, 'cause I never take her where the gang goes. When I take my sugar to tea, I'm a rowdy-dowdy, that's me. She's a high-hat, the baby, that's she. So I never take her where the gang